Hey everyone, back again. Welcome back to another video review. This time we're going to be taking a look at This Week in Sports, episode 13 or 14 or whatever. I don't know. Anyways. But this time, I'd like to, instead of talking about specific topics, I'd like to point out some obvious things. Just some things that I feel need to be rectified. Not just me, everyone else. I mean, like, fans and whatever. They kind of, if you know what I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, basically what I'm trying to get across is I want to discuss some things that I feel need to be fixed, need to be rectified, and need to be improved in sports. So yeah. So I'd like to, before we begin, I just want to say this is not directed towards anyone in particular. This is not directed toward any individuals, not toward any YouTube subscribers of mine, not directed to anything. This is a personal opinion of mine, and if you don't respect my opinion, that's fine, because this is something I feel needs to be addressed, and it needs to happen as soon as possible. Well, not as soon as possible, but anyway, I'll just get to it right now. But basically, what I'd like to discuss or talk about is a few things. First of all, I'd like to discuss a few things. Okay, I just want to get through all the sports. All right, really quick. All right, I've already discussed everything on auto racing. I've already discussed everything on certain other sports. But the two main sports I need to talk about here is baseball and hockey. We'll start with baseball first. And to be honest, I feel that there needs to be some improvement in certain areas. First of all, I think some rules need to be revised. Specifically, when you give out a warning, when you strike somebody, like when the pitcher hits a batter anywhere in his body and you get warned, that's fine. But afterwards, like the second time you're ejected, like that's just ridiculous. That's showboating. And it needs to stop. What I feel the rule needs to be is I feel that the warning should be, first time, you're okay, the first time warning, okay, I understand that. The second time, however, you need to, is an emphasizing of the warning, and then further emphasis until you're ejected. So, a little more further emphasis would be nice on that particular rule of ejecting someone. And to be honest, when you're ejected, don't come back on the field, because we all know what has happened recently. Anyways. So that's what I want to discuss first of all. Second thing I want to discuss with the NHL is, I'll get to that my main point. But NHL's fine, but I think the main thing needs to fix off-ice issues. Like, they need to crack down on this stuff first and foremost, and figure out a way to prevent this, because it has happened as of recently. But another thing that needs to stop, like seriously, another thing that really needs to stop is the fact that you anyways, I just forgot it now, but I'll come back to me. But basically, when you have an off-ice issue, like whether it's during the season or whatever, then, oh my god, like basically the NHL is clearly making a fool of themselves. Like, they're NFLing themselves, if you know what I'm saying. And speaking of the NFL, they need to they need to fix all their policies. All their policies need to be fixed. All their rules need to be fixed. There should be major suspensions to I don't know the positions of football, sorry, to people who attack the quarterback or who attack another player. They need to be suspended. Not fined, they need to be suspended. Because it's not to teach them a lesson, but this is just to emphasize the fact that like the integrity of the game needs to be fixed, and they won't tolerate high hits. Okay? Which leads to concussions. And going back to the thought I was going to with the NHL, their concussion lawsuits, the NHL, is ridiculous. Like, I'm serious. If they don't figure out how to implement concussion protocol, I understand they've already figured it out, whatever, but I have seen, and this is my next point, I have seen high hits that are undetected that I have seen. Anyways, I've seen high hits that haven't been called a penalty, that haven't been suspended, haven't been given anything. And I feel that has... Because, I mean, look, 3 years ago, that was supposed to be the fix for good. But then all of a sudden things changed and they decided to go back to what they used to be. Like, come on. You can't do that. Like, you just can't do that. Like, all I'm trying to say is it needs to be consistent. I'm sorry. Every left, right, and center needs to be consistent in the NHL with any type of incident on the ice. Whether it be a hit to the head, hit from behind, trying to break someone's back awkwardly. Man, doesn't that ever piss me off? Sorry for the language, guys, but it just brings me back bad memories. Anyways, so that's my little thing on that. Now, one of the two main things I want to discuss, alright? This week in sports, I've never discussed a trade, I've never discussed a waiver acquisition, I've never discussed blockbuster deals, I've never discussed any of that. And you know why? I don't mind trades and whatever, but I feel I need to break my silence on trades. And this is the honest truth. When you trade someone, it is going to hurt one of the sides of that trade for a few years. Or for any length of time, I should say. What am I saying here? But basically, here's what I feel needs to be done. You don't have to get rid of trades through and through. What you need to, in all sports need to do is to put in a borrowing clause. And what a borrowing clause, to me, I feel needs to be, a borrowing clause is basically you borrow a suit, like you can borrow someone. Let's say for example, I got traded from the Senators to the Leafs, okay, and unfortunately, I don't make the playoffs. Let's just say, but if the Sens make the playoffs, for example, they can, let's say, borrow the player to use in the playoffs. And I'm not saying that as cheating. I'd never cheat. And I've seen cheating in sports. We all know that. The whole PEDs and whatever. Or, yeah, the PEDs, I should say. Isn't that right, A-Rod? Anyways. But basically, and by the way, PEDs in baseball are just terrible. Stop doing that, guys, because that just really, it hurts yourself, it hurts your personal side, and it even hurts your organization, and gives a major bruise to the sport of baseball. So stop doing it. Okay? Anyways, so going back to the borrowing clause. I think the borrowing clause would be a very good idea, because you borrow someone and then, heck, if they, how far they go, after the point to the point of their after to the point to the end of the season. Let's just say let's say Team A wins the cup or whatever. Then you can decide if you want to stay with that team or you can return to the team that you were borrowed from previously. And I'm not saying this because of, and also, if there are contracts or whatever that need to be bought out, just do it during the season. Don't do it. Don't wait till the off season. It makes sense. Okay, I know some of my points don't make sense. Some of them, in all honesty, but I'm really trying to emphasize the fact that this stuff needs to. Anyways, I'm not going there. But the final point I want to talk about is festivities, specifically All-Star festivities. And to be honest, I'm going to say it right now. Well, that's actually my second final point because I want to get to my main point at the end. I want to be real quick on this, guys. I don't want to be here forever. Anyways, for the All-Stars, everyone, whether it be in baseball, whether it be in hockey, whether it be in wherever, they're all All-Stars. And everyone deserves a chance. Because that seems right and fair. What should happen, and this goes with all sports, you vote on the city, on the host of the All-Star game. Alright? In the Canadian region and the American region. The winners get to host both sides of the All-Star game. Then the All-Star teams, with all the players, everyone, I'm not saying the obvious guys, I'm saying everyone, the underrated guys, the ones who have tried to prove the doubters time after time after time, they should all face off each other. Like, they face off against, whether it be in the American or Canadian side, they play in that area, and that'd be it. It'd be very nice if it were to have happened. And I think it should happen because it makes sense. And I'm not trying to say that they're not going to do it, but I hope they do, and I think they will do that method. But I think it would make very, very clear sense because I don't want to see fans upset. I don't want to be upset if I see some of my, anyways. But basically, guys, all in all, that's all I wanted to say. But now my final point. I'm sorry, this will be the last one. And that is recognition on and off the ice. Yes, we've seen it from time to time. But then you see the guys that get recognized. But then you see the guys who have great seasons and don't get anything at all. No hardware, not even a round of applause, not even... To me, that's clear disrespect and clear arrogance. Everyone deserves something. Something to have, something to take with as a reminder that they did so well during that season. And yet, they don't... I'm not saying they don't care, guys. I'm not. But I'm saying that they care, but it's... Anyways, guys, I could go on this forever. But basically what I'm trying to say in this final point of mine, every player in, whether it be in the NHL or the MLB, the NFL, whatever, or the NBA, every player, whether it be a guy who has been called up, whether it's a guy who has worked so hard throughout his entire damn life to get to the point of success, everyone, and I mean every player, on every roster, on every team, of every organization, in every sport, needs to be recognized in some way, shape, or form by the end of the season. And do you know why I say that? Because, like I said, I've seen people get snubbed. I personally have been snubbed many times in my personal life. But I don't want to go there. That'll be another time. I'll discuss my personal subs and whatever. But these personal subs are opportunities that they take away from you, and you may never get another chance until the next time. Whenever the next time may be, who knows. But anyways, guys, I think that's really all I got to say. I hope you enjoyed this very interesting edition of This Week in Sports. I'm sorry if I have offended anyone. I'm sorry, and apologies for my language or whatever. But I just wanted to get my point across about what should be done, what needs to be done, what rules they need to change, what things they need to fix and rectify, and whatever. I think that needs to be done. So that is my video review of This Week in Sports episode 14 or 15. I cannot remember. Anyways, I will see you all very soon. I will be back as soon as possible next video. And yeah, so take care, see you soon, have a great day, and I'll catch you all later. Bye-bye.